Special edition of the Deuce and Mo podcast from Las Vegas, Nevada. Deuce and Mo with Kings GM Scott Perry.
Yay.
Scott, thanks for making time, man.
Thanks for having me. This is an honor to be on with you guys. You know, I enjoy watching your podcast a lot, so to be on,
Wow,
it's good.
Sorry we didn't get you in the room. I know this room's
well-
a little bit bigger, but
Okay, well, reserve a date for me in the room one time.
all right. How long is too long for you in Vegas? I feel like 3 days. Like 3 days in Vegas for Summer League is a lot.
Probably yesterday. Exactly.
We were talking about this, just how much it's changed since we started coming here. Just like, do you remember the early days of Summer League and how like there's probably like 10 people in the building?
Well, I'm gonna even go back before Summer League because I was a college coach, as you know. Started back in 1988, and every summer you would come here for the AAU tournaments, and they were all over the city of Las Vegas through a number of different high schools. So you would spend here a week. It was a big part of what you did recruiting players. So I was prepared for Vegas Summer League when it came around because I was here all the time. But yeah, it has really grown. I mean, especially the size of the crowds. I mean, now, especially when you go into the Thomas and Mack, it's almost always packed. And I can remember a time when it first started, there might have been a couple thousand people in there.
just like I guess even with the crowds and stuff, but on the floor, like has it been different, more competitive, or just a different pace, or is it always just these players playing so hard because they know so many people, so many eyes are on them at this one spot in Vegas?
You've always had the intense competition because of what you just brought up, Mo, because guys are playing for their livelihood. The rookies who were drafted by their teams who may have guaranteed contracts, they're proving themselves, trying to show that they were worthy to pick and trying to figure out how they're going to get their way onto the court in the fall for their teams. Mm-hmm. But the crowds, I think, have enhanced the competition more. Guys starting to play in front of 10,000 people now in a summer league game. The juices are going to be flowing a little bit different.
Let's go back a little bit. What made little Scott Perry fall in love with the game of basketball? Like, do you have a first memory?
I have an older brother. Okay. His name is Lowell, who's 7.5 years older than me, and he played all the sports. It's like he played basketball, football, baseball, and he ran track as well. So I was always the little brother that tagged along. There's sometimes, okay, not old enough to play right away, all that. And so I developed that kind of complex that, oh no, I want to play with the big boys one day. So that's my earliest memories of just really wanting to get into competition in general. But basketball, obviously growing up in Detroit, was a big deal. And so I really fell in love with playing it at a place called St. Cecilia's. Yep. That is the proving ground for all basketball players in the state of Michigan, one of the top ones in the country, especially at the time I was coming up. Yeah. A lot of great players came through there, from George Gervin to Magic Johnson. All the pro guys would play there, the Isaiah Thomases and Joe Dumars, and just so many great pros throughout. Chris Webber from the Sacramento Kings grew up playing there. So great place to play. The beauty of it was on one side of the floor, the wall is out of bounds.
Wait. Okay. Oh.
The wall. Yeah. So on one. So you is the wall. Yeah. Right. Exactly. The wall is a concrete wall that's out of bounds. Is on one side. This is where you learn to play, and on the other side there were these big poles.
Okay.
Not much space, and then underneath each basket you had one or two steps before you either ran into a wall or a set of bleachers in the back. So you really had to learn how to play fast, but then to be able to put on the brakes when needed. You learn how to handle the ball a lot. So many great memories playing at that place, and learn so many lessons, valuable lessons, not only in the game but in life there too.
Like valuable lessons, like basically how to not run into a pole if you're
saying exactly.
Or just don't be sloppy with it, because otherwise, you might hit a wall or whatever. Exactly. You say that in Detroit, you had to prove yourself out there. What was it about that style, I guess, that intrigued you? Like, how did that style of basketball shape you for how you look at basketball now?
It just the competitive nature. I mean, it was always kind of in your face, very defensive, very physical.
Yes.
And so if you couldn't play in that style, you weren't going to be able to play. You weren't going to get on the court. So that just, at a young age, gets ingrained in you playing in environments like that. And so I just carried it on throughout my adult life.
Were you a big talker on the floor, like trash talker?
I wasn't a big talker, no. I was not a big talker. But I played with and against a lot of talkers. And you guys can rile you up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, so every now and then you might be able to find a clip that I maybe started to talk just a touch, but not much though.
What was the best thing that you would do out there on the floor? Like, what would you say like was something that you brought that other people didn't?
As a young player, and B.J. Armstrong, my assistant GM, would tell you this. As a younger player, I enjoy shooting deep. And that was, we didn't have a three-point line when I was coming
Okay,
up.
Steph.
Wow.
Okay, Steph.
Exactly.
Not a very efficient shot, though.
It wasn't an efficient shot at the time, but
Still three-point line.
I enjoyed shooting the deep shot when I was a younger player. And then, but I really started embracing defense and passing the ball as I got older, especially as I started playing with guys who were better. You got to figure out where you can really fit in. But shooting in the beginning was probably my favorite part.
So, of course, you played. Then you coached in the college ranks. What point do you go, I want to transition to working in an NBA front office?
I'm going to share a funny story with you, and it's very true. So I'm Wayne State University, my last year. We're preparing to go into the Elite Eight of the Division II National Tournament. I was the captain of the team, point guard of the team. We were just shooting free throws toward the end of practice, and my head coach at the time, Charlie Parker, he says, Scott, have you ever considered coaching before? And first he asked me was I was considering going to like play, try out in the CBA or overseas or anything like that. And I said, probably not. That I was going to just focus on, getting out into the work world. So he said, well, what are you going to do if you're not going to coach? And I said, I want to utilize my business background. I was a business major in college, and my passion for sports. And I said, I want to become a general manager of a professional sports team. I was 22 years old.
I was going to say, how old?
Wow. I was 22 years old when I said that. So he looked and he thought like, okay. And so when I got out of school, I sent my resume to every NFL and every NBA team because I was a big football fan too. Yeah. And you guys, I'm sure, got the letters when you were applying for jobs coming out, kind of thanks but no thanks, or we'll keep it on file, all of that. Yeah. And so actually I went into private bank and retail banking. I was assistant branch manager at, which is now Chase Bank, when I graduated from Wayne State, my first 2 years.
Wow.
Okay. And I was coaching though at night. I was coaching basketball at night at a high school, suburban high school in Detroit.
So the grind. He had basketball still, but then getting a little bit of the business side.
Yeah.
So I guess I think something that we've noticed, I think everyone notices in the NBA with you, they identify you as like a relationship guy and your ability to connect with people around the league, whether it's other GMs or players or whatever. But I guess when I see that it's such a huge skill set for anyone to have in any job position, but especially as a GM, what is it with the way you're able to connect with people? Like, how do you go about that?
That probably goes back to my early years, back high school years, really. My house became like the gathering spot for all the fellas and the friends that come over, and just that happened naturally. I would, great family, we'd entertain, have people over. It was just natural for me to be in that space and build relationships. So as I moved around town, everywhere I went, I talked to people, got to know them, made them feel comfortable. And it just evolved, and that's just kind of who I am as a person. And, I enjoy that part. I enjoy meeting a lot of different people from different backgrounds. And so it has served me well in this sport, for sure. And then when I became a college coach, when you go out and recruit, so that's when, so now you're meeting so many families, players, coaches, in and around the sport, and then it just kind of grows from there.
Well, okay, because we always talk about wanting to be like a fly on the wall
Well, exactly.
in so many of these like NBA conversations of just like how you even start as a GM talking to another GM about a trade, about hey, let me talk about that guy. Is it through a text? Is it through a call? Does it depend on the person? Like, are you wishing them a happy birthday first and then you go? Like, how do you go about that?
Well, before I became a GM and first started in the league in 2000, wasn't as many texts. I think Blackberries were kind of in vogue back then. Exactly when I first
There we go.
started. Yeah.
Retro.
Yeah, exactly. But it all just depends on how well you know the person.
Okay.
I utilize text because I know that's today's
Email.
mode of today's mode of communication, somewhat, especially amongst the younger generation.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't like putting a lot in there. I'd rather have a conversation back and forth because so much can get misconstrued with these one-line texts.
Too.
Yeah, exactly. Right, exactly. So, you may get from me, hey, are you free to talk? Or something like that kind of thing, to now we'll get together and we start having a conversation. And, a number of these guys I have long-standing relationships with, and we may catch up about a variety of things before we get into talking shop about teams and all.
What's it like negotiating and closing a deal? Not necessarily trade, signing, whatever. Is it like exhilarating for you? Is there like nervousness, or like how do you feel in those moments where it's like, all right, we're trying to get this done? Like, what's that like?
It's a great question because it's really a long process, because it's very rare that you can get on the phone, talk to somebody, and in that initial conversation, you have a deal.
Right.
That's like an anomaly for something like that to happen. So I just set myself kind of to play the long game, if you will. And everybody's style is a little bit different. I'm probably more direct than a lot of people. I don't really like wasting time and beating around the bush, but there's a lot of that happens because, people want to make sure that they're doing the right thing, or they talk to you and they have an idea about what they can do with you, but then they want to go around the league. And that's fine, that's part of the vetting process. I try to do more of that up front if I can. I always try to put myself in the position of the other general manager and the team and try to assess their needs as best I can. Again, I'm not in their building, so sometimes you could be a little bit off. But at least to start things off, I want to have at least an idea in my mind. If I was sitting over there, maybe something that would interest me. And so
I always wonder that because every time a trade happens or a signing, everyone's talking about who won the trade. Yeah. I'm always wondering. It's like sometimes it's about just making a deal that's good for both parties. You're not necessarily trying to one up the other team, right?
Right. No, I'm not trying to spike the football. At the end of the day, like I said, so to me, the best deals are, because nobody's going to get 100% of what they want.
Right.
Money deal. That's very rare that happens. So he's here, I'm here. Let's try to find that common ground somewhere in the middle that I can leave the deal feeling pretty good about. Maybe I didn't get everything I wanted, but I got enough of the most important thing to me, and the same for him. Now, once you leave, shake hands, and it's over, now we got to play basketball and find out, how it ends up. And then that's when you end up on Deuce and Mo podcast. They're saying, what was Scott thinking about that deal? Exactly.
What's your favorite part about being a GM? Like when you wake up in the morning, are you fired up? Like what?
I love
what
it
do you
when
love
you
about
wake up in the morning.
Exactly. You assume I went to sleep, right? Exactly.
Well, you're like an early riser. I mean, it's like a 4 a.m. type, or?
I am, since I've been in SAC, I've been getting up at 4:30, 5 o'clock. I get up and work out every morning.
Alarm or no alarm? You just get up?
Most of the time I've been getting up because I've had a lot of nervous energy probably since I've been here on the job, because what happens is I'll go to sleep for 4 or 5 hours, and then if I wake up for a minute, then my mind starts to race. Okay, what do I have to do today? What's on my plate? And so that doesn't make for the best sleep habits.
No.
So what do you love about the job? Like, what do you love about being an NBA GM?
I love working with people, and I love really putting together our group. I think and I'm not just saying this because it's in the now, but the group of people that we're assembling in that building, from support staff to front office executives to coaches, just everybody there. I mean, the synergy and energy has been really great, and I enjoy that part, being able to come to work, because that was my vision to everyone when I came. For those who I've retained and kept, was like, look, I want to have the best working environment where everybody enjoys coming to work, having fun. Look, these jobs aren't easy, but let's enjoy the journey along the way. You know, life's too short, and I've been part of situations before where you just, your head is down and the stress, and you don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
And so that's the part I really enjoy now, is just trying to really build that out, you know, and then on the team building side, so putting together a group of young men and watch them grow. Now, obviously, we're just in the infancy stage right now, but that's going to be the fun part. Watch, you know, you draft a guy, you sign a guy in free agent, watch, and see how they come in and fit and how they continue to grow.
Shout out to our friends over at Sacramento Vineyards and Winery, though. They stayed with us even during the off season, because really there's no off season in basketball.
Thank you.
You got draft, free agency.
Yeah.
You got trades. You got previews, the WNBA. Basketball does not stop, and we don't stop.
And guess what? I've been drinking through all those things.
Okay.
I've been drinking Sentivo wine through all those things. And I was never a white wine kind of person. I love everything that they have to offer. It's been so fun partnering with them too. They're all Kings fans. They're a family-owned winery, and they're just really good people. And so if you want to try some of those wines as well, make sure you head over to CentivoVineyards.com. They have a new tasting room also that's going to be opening up in the Fairfield area. I cannot wait to go. I'm actually ordering more wine even today.
Also presented by our friends over at
Medic Ambulance. Woo, woo. We are thrilled to team up with Medic Ambulance, the trusted name in emergency medical services across Northern California. From life-saving responses to being the team behind the scenes at your favorite events, Medic is there to serve. When seconds matter, trust the professionals setting the standard in patient care. Learn more at medicambulance.net. You've been, I guess, in this position now for like 90 days.
Almost. I looked it up today. I think it was like 78.
Yeah,
So 78 days.
Oh, 78? Okay. I'm not quite at my anniversary from the last visit. Okay, because it's 3-month anniversary, right?
That's so true. So 78 days. We got 78.
But you're not leaving.
Exactly.
No. We got 78. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I guess when you look at these last almost 90 days, does it feel like 90 days? Like how is everything going? Does it feel like 10 years, 90 days? How is it all going for you?
Another good question.
Yeah.
I guess it feels about right at 90. I mean, it's a lot of it's gone fast. I think the first month just like shot by. Mm-hmm. And because, again, all the adjustments, moving parts, and I took the time to meet with the entire building, staff.
Yeah.
Took me 3 weeks to meet with everybody that works there. I mean, no matter what your role or job, if you come in that Golden One Center, you got at least a half hour with me, because I wanted to learn everybody's story.
Love that.
And not, and just to connect and see and let them know my vision, and see who was willing to kind of move forward, and maybe some
Embrace
that weren't. Exactly. And so,
Yeah, what do you say? You say you don't want hostages, you want volunteers.
yeah, I want volunteers, not hostages. Exactly.
Doug tried repeating that the other day. He's like, you don't want prisoners?
That's exactly, Doug.
Not that aggressive. Come on. Yeah.
Yeah, you talk about like, she was mentioning relationships earlier. You're talking about meeting with people, but like when you're meeting with players, I was interested in this. It's like, last year didn't go the way everyone wanted to, obviously, mm-hmm. and I'm sure there's frustration from some of the players. Just they're competitive, they want to win. Right. How do you go about like navigating those conversations with them and like building that trust and getting to know them? Like, how do you go about that?
And you talk about favorite parts of the job of being GM. It's always been with me working with players and building relationships with them. And I've enjoyed that coming here. Obviously didn't live the experience that they lived last year. However, just getting in and connecting with them, and I always try to get, not just players, but people in general. When you start thinking a lot of negative thoughts or thinking back in the past, what was so bad and all those kind of things. Take a step back and appreciate what still was good. And what can you learn from that? Yeah. And how do we move forward? Because I don't ever want players or people that work with me to be stuck in how things used to be or what they were. We're here today. Let's embrace today, and then let's get ready for tomorrow. We can't live in the back. But I love talking with these players. I've gotten on a plane. You talking about the first 90 days. Went down to visit Zach LaVine. Yeah. Went down to visit DeMar DeRozan. Spent a lot of time with Domas. Spent time with Malik Monk, Keegan Murray, all those guys. Keon Ellis. So I enjoy that, getting to know them, and I'm really looking forward to that once the season starts, because you're around them a lot more and what they're learning about me. My doors are always open. Yeah. The coaches are going to be responsible for coaching them and developing them and all those things, but I'm going to be there to support. And they know from me already that I'm very straight and direct, and so I'm going to call balls and strikes when I see it. And you can call them on me too. So
yeah, I think that's good to have too, because I think trust means everything.
Yes.
If you're talking to them about situations, they don't feel like they completely trust you. That's a difficult thing to deal with.
That's why I'd rather always been, and this is how I've been even as a youngster, tell you the honest truth, even if it may sting in the temporary. Yeah. And I'd want the same too. The worst thing, and you guys know this, is to be wondering, what's she thinking? Yeah. What's he thinking? What's going on? Instead of just saying, okay, here's how I see it. I may be right or wrong, but I'm giving you my honest perspective, a perspective of what I see, and that's how I just operate in life in general. And I think it's so critical with players. And I bet if you talk to the players that were here last year that have had time to meet with me, they would say, oh, that's the big difference in Scott, just as a person. He's very straightforward, he's very direct. We kind of get in the feel, how he's going to be and what he stands for.
Well, I guess constructive criticism is just so, communication, constructive criticism, everything is just so very important in every aspect of life, but I especially see it in this business, not only for players, but even for people in front office, for broadcasters, for everyone. And so when you have that communication, it only allows people to get better. Have you always been like that? Or do you think over your years of communicating with different star players and different GMs and people that you learned different things about how to communicate with people?
The base of me has always been the same. Now, obviously, when you start learning different personalities, how you deliver the message, this is still going to be an honest message coming from me, but it's how you deliver it.
Approach.
The approach.
That's big.
And how you set it up. Somebody when they first walk in the door, that person may be better. You just hit them right away. Mm-hmm. Somebody else coming in, you might want to talk a little bit. And then, okay, let's get down to what we need to talk about. So yeah, you learn that over time. And I think as you get older, one of the things we used to tease about when we talked I had a lot of older mentors in my life, starting with my dad, who was fantastic and my role model.
Played football, right, in the NFL?
Yeah, played with the Steelers, yeah. And so, and he coached there too. But I was a kid, I used to sit around, listen to him and all his old mentors and just how direct they were. And the older generation always seemed like they had less filter too, the way they would say it. They were, and so now I'm, as I'm getting a little bit older, feels like I'm getting a little less filter. Exactly.
I think that's healthy though. I think for anyone, and especially because I think your approach, you have this kind, empathetic, human approach to things, and that can go a long way. I want to talk more about your vision for what you want for this team, especially in today's NBA. When you look at today's NBA, what do you envision here in Sacramento?
I think it's a great opportunity to really build a team. You hear me talk about those 6 values all the time: competitive, tough, team-oriented, disciplined, accountable, professional. In a market like Sacramento, where you're the only professional team in town, essentially, I know the A's are there in the short run, but I think it's a great opportunity to build a team that's reflective of the community, that's together, that's perseverant, that displays the toughness, but displays that camaraderie, that togetherness. That's what and again, I give Oklahoma City a tremendous amount of credit this year, as Indiana. Those were the 2 organizations, to me, that throughout the season played like a team all the time. They shared the game. Obviously Shai Gilgeous was the MVP, but still, even the way he approached everything, it was still like a team-first attitude. I embraced that. Our great years in Detroit, that's what we were. And so I know the game of basketball was built that way. I had an old mentor of mine, I'm gonna share this line with you, said this to me once. When I first became a head coach in college, his name was Will Robinson. Great, look him up when you guys are looking at. So I came to visit when, I'm thinking we're gonna talk X's and O's and all this stuff. And he said, Scott, I just got one thing for you. He said, basketball is the most unselfish game played by selfish people. He said, it is your job to unselfish those selfish people.
Yeah, and it's bringing up those 2 teams you just mentioned. They stuck with me too, because of that. Like, and the depth.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I try not to overreact to these, but I'm like, is this where the league's headed a little bit? Where you have to have depth. You have to be able to do different things, because I'm watching I love the game right now. I think there's such a beauty, and there's so much freedom offensively for just to read the game and react. You're not constantly running plays. And then defensively, seeing how these coaches are scheming things, like OKC with like, hey, we're starting in a zone, but let's switch to a man. It's like,
that takes all 5 people.
Yeah, and it's just that chess match. Like Indiana, they're getting the ball ahead, and it's constant movement.
Because they're running their lanes and they're connecting.
The unselfishness. Is that where the league's headed?
Yeah, well, I say this, again, I'm going back to when we were in Detroit and that decade from 2000, 2010. Our mantra was to be the deepest team in the league, because the 2 biggest stars in the league at the time were the Lakers. They won the first 3 titles. It was Kobe and Shaq.
Yeah, and then they had Malone and Peyton. And you're like, okay, here we go.
We did beat that team,
I know,
too.
I know.
But our thing was getting 10 deep early on. And then I think the league got away from that a little bit when the whole idea of, okay, you need 3 superstars to win, a title.
Yes.
And I believe now with this, where the salary cap is and the structure, you've got to be deep again. You really need 7 starters, 7, 8 starting caliber players like those teams had to be able to win and compete for a title. So that's always been in my mental Rolodex, and my belief in the game is having a deep team, because not only for, being able to apply pressure the entire game, but to sustain injury throughout the season. You may lose a key player here and there, and if you don't have too big of a drop-off because your depth is really solid, that allows you to maintain a level of play that keeps you in the hunt.
Yeah, it allows you to deal with different matchups. I mean, I think about OKC, like it's like they went the whole playoffs, starting Hartenstein, then they switch it up. And watching Alex Caruso, one night he's defending guard, then he's defending Jokic in a game 7. You're just like, nowadays the versatility is so important, because someone's getting picked on.
Yes.
And you can't have weaknesses. I'm watching some of these teams late in the playoffs, like OKC. It's like, I don't know where their weakness is defensively. Like sometimes there's one, but it's pretty wild to see how these teams are being constructed.
But the depth, though, isn't just about having a star player come off the bench and be your 6 man. It's literally about having the right player for that role. And I think that's where, I love seeing the league go that way, developing players the right way to fit the system of what a team wants to do.
And that's why we're going to spend so much time on defining who the person is when we're scouting and evaluating. Because look, people are playing this game, not machines. So finding the right personality fit, somebody who lives those 6 values that I talked about, the more people that you can get into your building that are like that, the better chance and opportunity you have of really building a well-rounded team.
So for you, you take over the situation. How do you? I'm sure you want to get in like, all right, I want to change this. These are all the things I want to do, but that's obviously not the reality we live in. How do you exert patience in like a high pressure situation? Just trying to like see the big picture of building something sustainable.
I need Deuce and Mo to let the Sacramento Kings community know, hey, patience. Exactly. That's a no.
You know what's so funny? I say that. She says it all the time.
They hate the P word.
They hate the P word.
And I think part of it too is like, you know, it's like it's been tough. And 2
Yes,
years,
I
you know, a
get-
couple years, you get,
look,
yeah.
I love
and I
patience.
get it. Understand. Look, when I went to New York years ago, I mean, the New York fan base is extremely passionate, and you know they've been waiting on the title since 1973.
Yeah.
So while a lot of people talked about, okay, we're good with patience, you know, how long does that last?
Yeah.
For me, in general, I'm a patient personality.
Yeah.
And what I do know through all of my basketball experience of 25 years in the NBA and then my 13 years of college, Rome is not built in a day. If you're going to build something that's sustainable to win. Now, if you want to just throw a whole bunch of stuff up against the wall just to make first round of the playoffs one time, you probably could, you know, to do that.
Yeah.
But my goal for this organization and for our group is that once we get there, we're gonna stay there for a little
Sustain.
while. We want to stay there for a
Yep.
little while. I don't want to be a flash in the pan. So it's like building a home. Are you gonna build a home on top of the surface here?
Yeah.
Or are you gonna dig down 20 feet, pour concrete, and build a home that way? If you dig down, that's gonna take a little longer than to build a slab home, not going underneath the ground. I want to dig it beneath the ground.
That's why, like, whenever I use patience, even on our podcast with our community and everything, you know, it's from experience of just like understanding the game.
Right.
And I believe we have so many smart fans in Sacramento too.
Yes.
And so like they understand it, but I also understand the craving for
yeah.
like the want of exactly what you're saying. Of
Exactly.
just, it's still, I don't mean to say this for all of us in Sacramento, but it's still like low standards, like get in the playoffs, but then stay in the playoffs a couple years. And when we got that taste of it with that Beam team year,
Right.
It was that taste. It was like Costco sample size. And I wanted
Because
I want more. I
we
wanted
wanted
more.
to buy the whole
Yeah.
package that could last us like, I don't know, 2-3 years.
Right.
But like, so that's why, you know, being in this position now, I feel like going into these next couple of years, and especially even next year, do you have expectations for this team or what you want to see in next year?
I'm not going to put a numerical wins expectation on
Yeah.
this group. Again, my expectation is that we're defining that identity this year of who we're going to be, how we're going to play. I want you to be able to look at the end of the season and say, okay, I see the competitive, I see the tough, I see the team oriented, I see the discipline, I see the professionalism and accountability. If we can do that, and we're playing hard every night like that, we're gonna give ourselves a chance to win. So let's see, you know, where that takes us. Obviously, I'd love to win a lot of games. So, but let's see. I'm not gonna, because I'm still learning the group too.
Absolutely.
And learning what we really have, and that will help formulate some more decisions moving forward too.
Last one for you. What would be your message to Kings fans?
Stay patient. No, but just trust in what we're bringing here.
Yeah.
We are committed to this 24/7 to making this a success story, and we want this. I think this community deserves a sustainable winner, and I just look at and I marvel how the fans still embrace the Doug Christies and the Chris Webbers and the Vlade Divacs and Paige Stojakovic and Bobby Jackson and Mike Bibby, all those guys for what they did back during their time of playing. I want to get to, at minimum, that place one day. But again, we're going to do it prudent and in an opportunistic way. We're not going to just do a lot of crazy things just to make it happen once. So that's what I want the fans to know, that we're going to have a steady hand on the wheel and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, let's enjoy the journey together.
Enjoy the
At
ride.
the end of the day, it's a child's game. Let's
Yeah.
enjoy
Thank you.
basketball. I
Right,
love it. I always
exactly.
remind myself, I just like appreciate the journey. So
Yeah.
thanks so much for making time.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks for
I know you're
having me.
busy, and yeah, we'll do it again soon.
Now, this was my most enjoyable 30 minutes a day.
Okay,
Hey.
all right. If you did other, just to be clear, if I'm going to go back and watch other interviews,
Yeah, yeah.
if he says that same thing,
Or,
I know,
or,
I know.
or smiles at anyone just like he smiled. No, I'm
good.
kidding.
We appreciate you,
Thanks,
Scott.
I appreciate you.
The one and only Scott Perry.